305,700,475 doses of COVID vaccines have been administered from 135 locations around the world. The top three countries that have successfully done so far are Israel, where 41.85% of its population have been fully vaccinated, followed by UAE with 6.2 million doses given, and the UK with at least 33% of its population have had its first dose. The success in their rollout is because they have made advanced purchase agreements with vaccine makers. They also have a fully digitized and efficient universal healthcare network, which easily identifies groups and prioritizes vaccination. Vaccine diplomacy is also in place, wherein countries send vaccines to one another to forge stronger partnerships among them. And the efforts to boost public confidence also made their vaccine rollouts a success.
As of this recording, there are only two vaccines available in the Philippines right now, Sinovac and AstraZeneca. Though there are more or less 7 kinds of vaccines all over the world, only Sinovac and AstraZeneca have been approved by the DOH or the Department of Health, HTAC, Health Technology Assessment Council, and NITAG, National Immunization Technical Advisory Groups. The vaccines have to undergo our own FDA and HTAC. Not only do they look at the data on the vaccine, but the agencies also look at the impact at our own country. HTAC looks at other parameters such as cost effectiveness in relation to the state of the country, the current epidemiology in the Philippines, which will aid in the rollout of the vaccine in terms of defining the different tiers. The law in fact states that HTAC has to certify vaccines first before that they are allowed to be rolled out. Eventually, once the HTAC certification is rolled out, they will purchase more after the donations by China and other countries. Due process is that it goes through DOH, FDA, HTAC, and NITAG. All these vaccines are classified as under EUA or Emergency Use Authorization, meaning all coursed through DOH and they are in charge of purchase or donation, then distributed to the LGUs. Private companies may tie up with an LGU to acquire for their employees. These are given for free. That being said, no private company can purchase on their own. All purchases are coursed through DOH.
Philippine vaccine rollout. President Duterte reiterates that the vaccine is our only salvation. Goal Our goal is to secure at least 148 million vaccines doses and immunize 50 to 70 million Filipinos within 2021, which is the recommended population at around 60% to be able to reach herd immunity. At the first quarter of this year, March 1, 2021, marks the first day the Philippines officially rolls out the vaccine. Preparations for actual deployment of vaccines are being done through simulation exercises by various LGUs to rehearse plans for the storing, transporting, capacity per day, and distribution of the vaccines. Frontline health workers will be prioritized. An estimated 1.7 healthcare workers, along with other government frontliners, will be responsible for the vaccine rollout in the coming months. It was reported and highly anticipated that around the second quarter of this year, that's around April and June, there will be around 10 to 15 million doses of vaccine to arrive in the country, target of which will be given mostly to our senior citizens and the indigent members of our society. Next in line will be coming from our economic frontliners. This includes transport workers, farmers, miners, fishermen, and those that are working at the BPO. Likewise, vaccines ordered by the private sector and LGUs are expected to start arriving in the country in the second quarter of this year, sometime May and June. However, on the third quarter, President Duterte expects full swing vaccine rollout as bulk of the purchase should start arriving. This would be around 30 to 50 million vaccines arriving that will be used for about 25 million Filipinos. Hopefully, bulk of the vaccines will be delivered in the last quarter of this year, anticipating a full rollout in the vaccination program for our country.
The vaccine in the Philippines can be rolled out in two ways. The first is via the private entity, and the second is through the government. The private sectors have the capacity to purchase the vaccines, which is a small price to pay in regaining the loss of business during the pandemic. Through the private sectors, a faster rollout may take place since acquiring vaccines for their respective staff and their families would be their main goal. However, the major downside is the supply of the vaccine. Due to a high demand, some companies may not be shortlisted because of the quantity. Prioritization might also be given to enterprises who can afford a larger volume order. Should the vaccine manufacturers implement a minimum order requirement, some companies may need to pay a higher price in order to supply their small staff. This will create high prices should an entity decide to hoard a huge amount of vaccine in order to be resold. As for the government, the most optimal way to roll out the vaccine is through the LGUs using their data from consensus. Vaccines may be purchased from manufacturers in bulk. From there, coordination with the different ports and logistics facilities to deliver the vaccines to the different LGUs in varied parts of the country. These LGUs will have to administer the vaccines to their population alongside their local hospitals and health workers. However, there are downsides to this plan. First off, there will be red tape and bureaucracy that is endemic in our government system. There will also be issues on the budgeting and insistence of the larger LGUs to receive vaccines first, especially due to the incoming 2022 elections right around the corner. Currently, the administration has no clear plan on the rollout to the different provinces. Another issue will be the available facilities. The rural provinces may not be equipped to handle strict requirements of each vaccines. Far-flung areas are not equipped with facilities and infrastructure to the urban areas. There is also the resistance of the populace to take the vaccine. The government has done nothing to curb the effect of the Dengvaxia issue, which has caused some of the populace to be wary of getting the vaccine. To combat this, they should release a program that will educate everyone on why the vaccine is a necessity and that the side effects far outweigh the cons of having the vaccine.